the Reaper is probably... well, it is actually. It's the last weapon we saw in the game. And I actually have notes made for all the weapons, and my note for the Reaper says, inaccurate as fuck. Because this thing is just ridiculous. It's kind of a cool gun in that it has to spin itself up, and its rate of fire changes the longer you hold down the button. And as the rate of fire increases, the accuracy decreases. The silver challenge for the Reaper is actually a whole lot of fun. You pretty much need to just keep throwing bullets at the targets. The Farsight is a really cool gun, but I'm unimpressed with the shooting range challenges for it. I can understand where they come from, but I just find that trying to use the scope in the way that you're supposed to just it screws everything up. Probably noticed in both the silver and gold challenges I had to cut out failures because I had been trying to use the scope just to show it off, and I just kept screwing up because of it. The Slayer is another scatter weapon we didn't get till really late in the game, and the shooting range challenges for this weapon are pretty much just have fun with the fly-by-wire mode. Its primary fire, of course, has the same drawbacks that the regular rocket launcher does, in that it completely obscures your vision, and it's kind of hard to gauge distances. One of the coolest things about the fly-by-wire mode is that you can slow down the rocket to the point of almost not moving at all. The important thing when using the fly-by-wire in the shooting range is timing. You have to know when to slow down and when to speed up and when to detonate. Because in this gold challenge, you have a limited amount of time. You can only get so many fly-by-wire rockets off, and if you're spending the whole time slowing yourself down, then you're going to run out of time. The throwing knife, or combat knife I guess I should say, it has some of the same problems as the crossbow, in that you can hit things and they will deflect off and not hit what you were throwing at. You have to be a little bit careful. One of the cool things that I didn't really realize about them is that they actually, the arc, the sort of projectile arc that the combat knife takes, is dependent on how far away what you throw it at is. I'm not sure I explained that very well. You'll see in the next challenge that there are moving targets, and if you try to throw the combat knife while the target is far away as it's coming closer, it will not hit where you aimed it. It will hit higher up because it used a better or a more pronounced arc. You have to wait until the target is not moving. The tranquilizer's kind of it's kind of a boring gun, really. Even in multiplayer, there's almost no reason to use it unless you're trying to piss off your opponents, or your friends, more likely. I'm not really sure what the practicality of administering 8 doses of tranquilizer are that quickly. The tranquilizer does, however, have the honor, I guess, of having the hardest gold challenge in the game. And I left a failure in here just to show you how reasonable you can do and still fail this challenge. You cannot miss, and you have to go as fast as possible, or you will run out of time. It is very hard. The laser's another one of those one-hit wonders we only got to see very briefly in the campaign. And it's basically something that's made for multiplayer. The shooting range challenges for it aren't particularly interesting either. I had a failure here that I cut out, because every time I start this challenge for the first time, I think you're supposed to use the secondary function, the little lightsaber limited range thing. And with the minimum accuracy, that completely fails it for you if you even try. In my notes again, I actually have written under the laser, no secondary function, and then a frowny face. Because you don't actually get to use it here. It's kind of upsetting. However, the laser's actually going to be our last semi-interesting weapon, because the last two we have left are timed mines and proxy mines, which are kinda boring and, you know, run-of-the-mill if you've ever played GoldenEye. I will say that in the shooting range, the timed mine is... it's supposed to be all about timing, but I find it's all about luck. I actually throw this mine right here, and that is not at all what I meant to do, but it actually works perfectly. It's a very lucky throw. It is kind of sad that this is our last weapon, because the proximity mines are very boring. You can already pretty much guess how the challenges go for it. You have to throw the proxy mines in the way of moving targets. Nothing about that is particularly surprising. And with that, we finish the firing range. That's gold stars on every weapon. Except there actually is one weapon left in the game. That's not exactly a secret, but it's... well, you'll see it later. I gotta tell you guys, we're not done in the firing range. We're gonna be back. And we're gonna be back for this guy. And he is not gonna like it when we come back. Thanks for watching.